This folder has 20 plus skills. Each one handles a different part of my content operations, content writing, video editing, thumbnails, LinkedIn posts, competitor research. And this command here, it made my script generator improve itself 19 times in a row. No code changes for me, just Claude rewriting its own instructions until the scores went up. And here's the thing. Most people using Claude Code right now are stuck at level 1 or 2. They don't even know skills exist. And that means they're using maybe 10% of what they're paying for. And today I'm going to walk you through all the 5 levels, exactly which level you're at, and more importantly, how to get to the next one. These right here are the 5 levels. Level 1 is where everyone starts. Level 5 is where Claude runs your business. And the jump from level 2 to 3 is where 90% of the value lives. That's the one most people miss. Let me start at the bottom. So level 1 is the prompter. You open Claude Code, you type a request, and you get code back. You copy it, done. No customization, no memory. Every single conversation starts from scratch. If you're at this level, there's no shame. This is where I was a few months ago, and I'd spend maybe 20 minutes per task just explaining what I wanted every single time. Use this folder structure, for example, write in this style. Don't use these libraries over and over again. And the problem isn't that level 1 doesn't work, because it does. Claude is smart enough to give you decent output with zero context, but you're going to do the heavy lifting. You're the memory, you're the system prompt, you're explaining your entire business every single time you start a new chat. And if you're level 1 right now, the fix takes about 15 minutes, and that brings you up to level 2. So level 2 is where you start creating a CLAUDE.md file. And this is the file that changes everything. CLAUDE.md is a simple markdown file that's stored like this. And just bring it up here. It's just a markdown file that Claude reads at the start of every conversation. It's your global configuration, your preferences, your rules, your architecture, all in one place. Mine has about 80 lines, maybe a little bit more. Meta rules, workspace rules, my tech stack, my voice profile references, a quick debug table for when things go wrong. And what changes at level 2 is that you start repeating yourself. Claude already knows how to use your NA10. It already knows your folder structure. It already knows not to use M dashes or say game changer. But here's the limitation, but it can't do anything new. Every task still requires you to explain these steps. If you're using Claude Code with CLAUDE.md file and nothing else, you're at level 2. You got the foundation, but the real power is one level up. You don't want to dump like a million things in your CLAUDE.md file, because then it gets bloated, and then Claude just ironically ignores or hallucinates, even though you have everything in one single MD. And another hack is you can go to the Claude website. Just Google Claude documentation, Claude Code documentation, and just reference this to your Claude window terminal, wherever you use it, and ask it to create a CLAUDE.md file based on best practices. So going back to this, everything up to now is just level 1 and 2. Claude becomes a system. And honestly, the jump from level 2 and 3 is where I went from spending hours on content to spending minutes. And this is where it gets real. And this is the skill builder here. So a skill is a markdown file with instructions, and that's it. It's not code. It's not a plugin. A markdown file that just tells Claude exactly how to do one specific job. My script generator skill is a markdown file that contains my voice rules, format specs, golden references, scoring criteria. And when I tell Claude, write me a YouTube script, Claude doesn't guess. It follows a specific playbook that I built and refined over the last few weeks. And here's the misconception. People think you need to be a developer to build skills. They're just markdown files with instructions. If you can write a detailed email to a freelancer explaining what you want, you can definitely write a skill. But here's where I got stuck, and this cost me weeks. Well, I kept building skills that were just too broad. One skill tried to do too much research and write and format, and it failed at all 3, or it gave me mediocre results. And the output was just bad across the board. The breakthrough was a single responsibility, just one skill, one job. My X writer just writes X post. My thumbnail skill just generates thumbnails. My research skill just researches. And when I split them up, the quality jumped X immediately, because each skill got really good at that one thing. It's also easier to debug, and you can go really deep on debugging. The other thing that changed everything was that I built a skill builder skill. It's a little meta. So now when I need a new skill, I don't write it from scratch. I tell Claude, build me a skill for X, and the skill builder enforces that architecture. Or here we go, skill builder. And this is just a proper skill, how you build it. And it's just telling it, this is how the best practices for building a skill. So every time I build a skill, I don't have to remind it how do you build a skill. It just understands how to do it. My first skill just took a few hours because I kept going back and forth, disappointed with the results. Now when I build one, it's 15 minutes, and I spend most of my time refining it to get to where I want it to. So let me actually show you a skill. So this is a skill for the skill builder, but let me show you a real skill for something that I use. And this is typically the structure of how like a skill is. It's just a markdown file with different sections. It covers the output format. It gives examples. It has a checklist with examples. And if you go at the top, it should tell it like the name, the description, and then kind of starting off what the agent will be doing here, what it is. So in this case, it's a senior LinkedIn writer or copywriter, and it's just giving its context. So pretty much all the skills are like this. They follow a similar format. If you can see here, here's a copywriter skill. Same thing, name, description. And this is how you get this consistent, because you can tell Claude to do it, and it'll be decent at writing it. But if you don't give it a framework, it may hallucinate or just be inconsistent with how you format it. And so the way I keep my skills consistent in types of format and quality, I have the skill builder skill, which I built with referencing. I just went to this Claude Code documentation website, find here skill, and it'll cover what a skill is. And then you can just tell Claude to read it, take the main key points about what makes a good skill, like the components and all that. And then that's how you'll build the skill to do that. Shit, that's how I get the same format across the board. I just use the skill builder, and it automatically uses it when I'm building a skill. Well, level 4. Now we're at level 4. Now you got an idea of level 1 through 3. Level 4 is the agent architect. This is where you chain skills into a multi-agent workflow. And here's the simplest way to think about it. Skills do one job. Agents chain a few skills together. Commands are where you actually type. So when I type /video, that command triggers an agent, and the agent calls a video editor skill, then the sound engineer skill, then the color grading skill, then the caption designer. Each skill does its piece. The agent orchestrates the whole thing. So I didn't understand agents until I realized they're just skills that can call other skills, and that's it. That's the whole concept. But here's the gotcha, and this one bit me hard, was that there's a bug. So bug 4462 is where subagents can't write files. So you can't just have an agent call another agent and expect the file to appear. The pattern is the command orchestrates, it calls the agent, gets the text back, and then the command writes the files. It took me weeks to figure that out, and I kept getting silent failures because where agents would succeed but produce nothing, the logs look clean, the output just wasn't there. So once I figured out a workaround, everything worked. But that's the kind of thing that makes a level 4 genuinely hard. You're building systems now, not just tools, and systems have bugs. Systems need debugging patterns. Essentially, the agent or the sub-agent couldn't output anything, so I just had to build it in with the command, and the agent was just read-only. At the end of the day, all you really cared about was if you told one agent or sub-agent to write a file, you would have it at the end, versus saying it succeeded, but you had nothing. Now we get to the final level, level 5, and this is where it gets really cool. Level 5 is the self-improver. And this is where Claude improves its own skill. And here's what this looks like. I build a command /refine, and you point it at any skill or process, and it runs the skill 4 times. And an evaluator scores each output against specific criteria. A mutator reads the scores, reads what went wrong, and rewrites the skill's instructions. Then it runs it again and again. And my script generator went from a scoring of 48 out of 66 to a 65 after 19 mutations, and I didn't touch a single line. Claude just rewrote its own instructions, tested them, and kept the version that scored the highest. And here's the honest part. The refine loop sounds like magic, but the hard part isn't the loop. The hard part is knowing what good looks like. And this is inspired by Carpathy's auto research repo. If you look it up, just type in Carpathy auto research. Do this right now. And so all you would do, for context, just copy this link, paste it to your Claude code, and be like, hey, Claude, I want to build a system that auto improves itself, and then paste it this repo. That's what I did. So going back to that, if your evals are wrong, which is kind of like the scoring system, the mutations typically head in the wrong direction. And I had one run where the score were really high, or even 100%. Claude got really good at writing just mediocre scripts. That's all that means. And so I had to throw away a few iterations, 8 of them, and just rewrite the eval criteria. The eval is the product. Get the evals right, and the loop is generally powerful. But you get it wrong, and you're just automating garbage. You may get a good score, but it doesn't mean anything because the output still sucks. So like if you have a LinkedIn post and you want to write good LinkedIn post, if you say the evals are a good strong hook, strong middle, strong end, just for lack of the example or simplicity, then it'll just say you had to score a 3 to get it perfect. The agent could score a 3 in the first try, or maybe it'll take it 4 tries. And let's say you got all 3, then the output could still look like trash because the evals were not specific enough. And I think that's where the magic happens. You have to be very clear on what specific looks like. You have to do a lot of testing and research beforehand so you can have good evals. That's where the bulk of the work comes from. So the other thing you don't realize is that you need to test. You need enough tests weighted 5, but duration is weighted 2. So the weighting tells the mutator where to focus its energy. So I'm going to show you an example of how this looks running. Let's see if we can do it. And at the same time, I'm going to show you the proof, which is actually right here. This Excalidraw drawing is actually generated by an agent in Claude Code. And that's really cool because I suck at using Excalidraw at this level. I mean, even if I could do this, it would take me like an hour or over an hour just to look at the script and pick every little component. And so I had an agent evaluate. First, I did some research. I studied a few creators of what good Excalidraw diagrams look like. And then we did research and we set the evals, right? From how many diagrams to the color, to the font, to everything. The more specific I got, the better I got, because then it really stress tests the refine loop. Boy, this is it. Like, this looked pretty good. Like, it looks like someone actually spent time using it. But anyways, going back to the Claude Code, I'm going to actually run one for you and you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to ask Claude to run an example and we're going to use the /refine. So, hey, Claude, I need you to help me run an example for the /refine. Just build a simple process, create simple evals so we can easily see the before and after and how it improved. And then afterwards, we'll remove it. And let's see how long this takes. If it takes too long, I'll speed through it and then we'll go. It understands this is a test. Let it do its thing. In the meantime, I will tell you some of the use cases that you can think about. It's like you have a little sub team doing this of testers, and one is doing the test, one is doing the scoring, and then one is doing the mutation. It's not one single agent doing it. And that's important because if you do have one single agent doing everything, they're going to get biased and they can kind of fluctuate the scores. So that segregation is important. And another cool thing to think about this is almost think of it like you have a system that speeds up the failures. Like in the past, I had a thumbnail generator. I thought it was pretty cool. It would generate my YouTube thumbnails. And it took me a lot of back and forth, a lot of disappointment, and just kind of keep Frankensteining until you get the good output and you're like, call it a day. Once you get that good output, you're like, I was even scared to make any edits because I'm like, man, if I make a wrong edit, I can basically derail the quality of my thumbnails. But the point is that took me weeks of iterations. And I just really went back to the drawing board once I discovered this auto research loop. So I studied hundreds, maybe not hundreds, but like dozens of videos and thumbnails and the psychology of color, all these different elements that make a good thumbnail. We went back to the drawing board. I set the evals, and long story short, the system finally improved itself. We actually were grading and improving. I saw the quality jump. Like for the first time, I could see the quality of my YouTube thumbnails went up in a very linear way, because theoretically, once you do every iteration, kind of the agent learns what it did wrong, and it kind of self-improves it, for the lack of better terms. It updates the prompt, and then it gets a little bit better. Sometimes it doesn't, though. But at the end of the day, when it runs all the iterations, whether it's 4, 8, or 12, you can customize that. You can then choose the best one. It always takes the best one. So if mutation 12 was the best one to score 80%, you're going to take that one over the rest that were like scoring 70 or 60%. But the point is, the quality actually got meaningful. So this was a way to finally have a way to just improve in a very linear way and faster, especially with the Excalidraw diagrams here. You see, this would have taken me weeks. You can't just one-shot this and tell, hey, Claude, build this for me. You got to understand what good looks like. And then even once you have that, it's going to take you some iteration. Is a /refine or the Carpathy loop. What it does, it speeds things up for you. It auto just keeps testing and testing and testing for you until it finds a better one. And that's when your mind can go a little bit wild, because then you can say, oh, now I can improve my thumbnail system. I can improve my email newsletter system. You can improve almost any system that's in your Claude Code, if not every system. And that's the power of this command. So it's still running here. And I'm curious to see what it's doing. It's already mutating. So look, you can see here it's telling you the score. Every single time it's mutating, and it's telling you it finally got a perfect one. So there you go. So it keeps looping until it also, you can set a threshold. So you can say, once I get a 90%, stop. Otherwise, you're going to burn tokens depending on how complex your solution is. But here you can see the actual mutation. It ran the test input. The baseline was at 6. So when it first started, it was at 6. And then eventually, after the first mutation, when it just made the first iteration, it got a good score. And so here we're going to look at the output. Well, here's what it built in action. It took me a while to figure it out, but what it built was a tagline agent. Tagline for products. Well, here's the before. Think organized, think effortless. It was scoring a 6 out of 10. And here's after a random mutation, turn scattered thoughts into real docs. That's just a little taste of it, but I'm glad I chose something simple, and that's what I would recommend. Start simple and then scale that, because every iteration is different. The loop isn't straightforward. So my slash refine is different for, think, a script agent versus like my video editor. So I have a video editor pipeline. So where I drop, for example, videos, and my agent just helps me edit them, cut, fluff, and then maybe add some animation. That's a more complex system, and that requires a different type of testing versus like a script agent. Yeah, I mean, that's the map is this. Level 1 to level 2 takes about 15 minutes. Just create a CLAUDE.md file, write your preferences, done. To go from level 2 to 3, this is the big one. You build your first skill. It'll take a few hours, but then you can build a skill builder skill, so that every skill after that just takes 50 minutes. And then go from level 3 and 4, that's about connecting things. Instead of running skills one at a time, you build agents that orchestrate multiple skills into workflows. And then level 4 to level 5 is about compounding. You add evals that define good, you run the refine loop, your skills get better without you. If I had to start over, here's exactly what I would do in day 1, CLAUDE.md file, day 2, skill builder skill, and day 3 to 7, build 5 skills for my most repeated tasks. If you're a content creator, you're a business entrepreneur, you're creating stuff online, you could create something like a LinkedIn post if that's where you post. You could create a tweet agent if that's what you do, or you can just create a newsletter agent that helps you write your newsletter. So it can save you 80% of the effort, and you just spend time QAing and more ideation versus actually writing the newsletter. And the best part is you can use the refine to just get you up to speed, so it can write in your voice, it can write with just the quality you want. It's no longer a quality issue, especially Opus 4.6. And I think skills are the single most underrated feature in Claude Code, and most people don't even know they exist. And that means that if you build even 5 good ones, you're already ahead of 90% of the users. So the biggest mistake I see is people try to jump straight into level 5. They want to self-improve an AI system before they've even written a single skill. Start at level 2, build 1 skill that serves you at least 30 minutes a week, and then stack from there. And if you want to see how I build skills from scratch, start to finish, I'm going to drop a video soon. So hit subscribe so you don't miss it. And drop in the comment which level are you right now. I read every single one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.